Greetings, Guzzlers. It is still Thursday, and since the last time I did a read aloud, it was far more popular than I anticipated. Well, the truth is that only encourages me to do it again. So, tonight I'll be reading again. Ben Reads! Pulled another Choose Your Own Adventure off the shelf, but tonight we are venturing into the Pillars of Pentegarn by Rose Estes. Look at that, a $2 cover price. Those were the days. Anyhow, reading off the back here, you are Jamie, a young villager with a love for the enchanted forest that everyone else fears. When it comes time to action, or for action, you decide. Will you fight the dragon skeleton with the brave fighter Baltec at your side? Or perhaps will you try to trick the evil master whose slaves control Castle Pentegarn? Or will you run into the unknown down another corridor, followed by the lovely elven thief Lydia? The thrills and challenges don't stop with the first reading. No, 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 no. You can ask yourself, what if I had done it a different way? And read the book again to find out. In every Endless Quest book, you pick the path you want and find your own adventure. Will you find the secret beyond the Pillars of Pentegarn? The choices are yours. Anyhow, tonight, woo! I'm drinking Viking Blood. It is a mead, Nordic honey wine with hibiscus and hops added. I don't know, and it's got one of the nice ceramic bottles that the Russians blew up because they came from Ukraine, and the Russians don't like anything Ukrainian because they don't like things that are good. So, anyhow, most of the interior art in this book is by a Harry J. Quinn. Anyhow, let's get started, shall we? Introduction. A scaly, bark-covered hand wraps its long, thin fingers around your shoulder, and a wispy voice whispers, "Excuse me, friend, I need to tidy up around you." Your friend Tree lowers a branch, and you climb on eagerly. You're always happy to rest in Tree's branches and watch your friends scurry about the forest. You are Jamie, a young villager living at the edge of a mysterious forest. Although the people of your village tell tales of woodland terrors and ferocious beasts lurking in these woods, you have spent your happiest moments rambling through the forest, climbing trees, craggy trunk, and playing with your friends, Fox and Owl. While Tree's leafy fingers straighten flower stems and brush his knobby roots, you listen to him discuss a party of adventurers with Fox and Owl. "I thought them an exceptional group," Tree says. "When they built their campfire, they gathered only dead wood. They did not break any of my branches, nor did they carve my bark. When they left, they put out their fire and cleaned their campsite." And why, yes, all Trents, and Caleb Dorr for that matter, speak very slowly like that. I learned that trick from my older brother. Yo, John buys beverages. "Well, I think they're heading for trouble," says Fox. "I followed them when they left this morning. They went off toward the river, but then they backtracked and started towards the Pillars of Pentegarn." Owl gasps. "The Pillars of Pentegarn? Surely you are mistaken." "No way, Birdbrain," Fox snaps. "Do you think I have this nose for nothing? I can track anything, and your little tricks aren't going to fool me. If I say they're going to the Pillars of Pentegarn, then that's where they're going." There's a long silence. The Pillars of Pentegarn lie in the most frightening part of the forest. Not even the bravest creatures go there. "Hide," Tree says suddenly. "Fast! I see goblins coming up the path." You jump down and skitter under a bush. Owl flutters high to Tree's branches. Excuse me. Fox hides behind a rock, then changes his mind and runs for the forest. He is in plain sight when the goblins march into the clearing. Without pausing, the goblins throw their spears at Fox. He yelps and runs into the bushes. The spears miss him, but they thud solidly into tree, whose breeze like groans pass unheard by the monsters. "Missed," grunts one. "Doesn't matter. Fox tastes bad," answers another. "Don't care about taste. Hunting is funnest part." The largest goblin rips its spear out of tree, then drops to all fours and sniffs the ground. "Girl's scarf," it says, picking up a white kerchief. "They been here. Close now." The goblins crowd around their leader, pushing and shoving each other. Finally, the largest goblin pushes its way out of the crowd and runs down the trail toward the river. The others follow quickly. When the last goblin pounds down the path, you scurry out from beneath your bush and rusted tree. He moans softly and his branches sway in pain. You inspect the wounds and plug them with wet, clean moss. The flow of sap slowly stops. Tree is calmed, and only an occasional movement of his branches tells you he suffers great pain. Owl climbs down as soon as you finish patching Tree's trunk. A goblin spear has pierced his left wing. Oh, it winged him. "Do not be overly concerned," gasps Owl. "They just winged me." You remove the spear and carefully press a pad of moss into the wound. Some art, injured tree, and healing the owl. Fox returns and inspects his wounded friends. "Wow, can you believe what they'll do to those adventurers?" he asks. "I don't want to think about it," you say. "But you must," urges Tree. "If we don't warn them, they won't stand a chance. We must do something." "Don't look at me. I can't warn them," Fox says. "You're the only human I'm on speaking terms with." "Fox is correct," Owl says. "You are the only human I have ever met who talks to animals. It would be useless for Fox or myself to warn the adventurers, for they would not understand us. You must warn them, Jamie." All right. First choice of the adventure. One choice I don't have to choose very difficultly is to have a bit of mead. All right. Do we warn the adventurers of their danger, turning to page 100, or do we return home deciding that we're too frightened to risk meeting the goblins again? We're going to go turn to page 100. We're going to go warn those adventurers. Off we go for a grand adventure. "I'll do it," you say. "I'll show you a shortcut to the Pillars," Fox volunteers. "Allow me to ride on your shoulder," Jamie, Owl says, and I too shall accompany you." You hold out your arm, and Owl climbs up to your shoulder. Following Fox, you enter the forest. After 20 minutes, you come to a tall stand of ash trees. Brambles and briars grow entwined around the base of the tall, gnarled trees, and you push your way through and see that the forest stops at your feet. The ground in front of you is a sickly, burnt gray. Several large pillars rise like thick white fingers from the blackened earth. Their tops are broken and jagged, and huge pieces lie strewn about the clearing. An opening gapes near the base of the pillars, like a missing tooth in a jack-o'-lantern. You see 3 sets of footprints leading into the opening. As you peer into the opening, a squeal breaks from the forest, and you turn to see the goblins racing from the tangles. Turn to page 24. I don't know if mead is conducive to reading aloud. It's a grand experiment. Choking back your fear, you duck under the pillars and enter the darkness. Glancing back, you see the goblins hard on your heels. With the goblin cries echoing in the passage, you run as fast as you can, even though you have trouble seeing. Luckily, your long legs outdistance the goblins as you race down the corridor, but your breath soon rasps in your throat. You cannot last much longer without rest. As you round the corner, a crumbling staircase rises upward into the darkness. The passage splits at the bottom and leads both left and right. You lean against the staircase and try to catch your breath, pressing your fingers against the stone wall. You feel ancient stone carvings under your hands. The cries of the goblins draw closer. "Well, Featherhead," pants Fox, "got any hot ideas now?" "It is my astute opinion that..." The carving moves under your fingers, and a section of the staircase opens without warning. You fall backward into darkness. "Hey!" Fox cries, "wait for me!" He slips through the opening. The wall quickly snicks shut and darkness closes around you. The dark is thicker and more complete than any you have ever known. Goblin feet pound up the stairway you are hiding under. And then there is a long silence. Finally, Fox says, "I don't know how to tell you this, but we're not alone."
"That is correct,"
a deep voice says. "Who's there?" you demand, trying to sound brave. In answer, a burst of light fills the room, and a wrinkled old man leans on a staff in front of you. He seems more ancient and frail than anyone you have ever seen. A bright, torch-like light leaps from his staff. A young fighter stands on the old man's right, pointing his sword at you. His battle-scarred armor and bulging muscles tell you that this is not someone to anger. A beautiful elven maiden stands on the left. Bright red hair hangs to her waist. She wears carefully tailored leather armor. Her hand rests on a polished dagger handle, and she watches you intently with bright green eyes. "Oh boy," mutters Fox. "We're in for it now." "Patience, Fox," Owl says. "I have found hasty judgment leads to disaster." "I can't think of anything more disastrous than dying," he answers.
"Fox, Owl," cries the old man in a papery, dry voice, "do not waste your strength arguing with each other. Neither the fighter Baltek nor the elven thief Lydia will harm you."
You stare in amazement as Fox and Owl stop arguing and walk across the floor toward the old man. They understood the old man, and he understood them.
"Surprised, child?"
He asks.
"Don't be.
Like you, I can speak with animals, and so can those with me." He pauses, and you back away from him.
Do not worry, Jamie," he continues. "I am not the one to fear.
Come, sit beside me. I shall tell you and your friends everything you need to know." He holds out his hand. His eyes are kindly and intelligent and hold all the strength his body lacks. Without a word, you cross the small space between you and clasp the waiting hand. Fixing his gentle yet powerful gaze on you, he begins.
"Although it seems unlikely, this was once a beautiful place. There were no goblins, no monsters, no death, nor destruction. The fields were fertile. The people were prosperous and happy and blessed my name, the name of King Pentegarn." All right, here we go. Pentegarn's in the middle, and Baltek's got the sword, and the elven thief Lydia is on the other side. "Although I was a wise and good king, I did not do it alone. I was aided by a great magical staff. It was given to me by my father, who had received it from his father before him, who had received it from his father before him. It contains the magic and knowledge of all of those lifetimes. Unfortunately, in the hands of evil, it can be used with terrible results, as you see by this foul ruin. One night, as I slept, a black fog covered the kingdom. By the time we discovered this was a magical fog, it was too late. It had cloaked the coming of the evil one. In the darkness of the magic fog, the evil master crept into my castle and stole my magic staff. When the sun rose, it could not pierce the black gloom. Most of my people fled in fear, and those who stayed to fight were killed by the black cloud. I fought desperately, but without my staff, I was all but helpless. At last, I neared total exhaustion. All about me was ruin, and I was forced to leave my own kingdom. Though I was too weak to battle my unseen foe any longer, I vowed I would return. Year after year I have returned, seeking to defeat the evil one and regain what is rightfully mine. This is my last attempt. The staff holds much of my strength, and without it I grow ever weaker. Yet if I die, there will be nothing to stop the enemy. He pauses and then adds, it must be stopped now, and you must help me. The old man stares intently at each of you. As his eyes lock upon yours, you feel deeply drawn to him. His mission becomes yours. You believe, as the old man does, that you can, that you must succeed. Pentegarn continues. The Master, as it calls itself, usually remains in the central tower. Between us and the tower are many halls, caverns, and passageways. They will be guarded by bands of goblins and skeletons, all of whom serve the evil one. Although there are few ways to defeat the evil one, I have a plan. A cube of mystic forces and a ring of spell turning lie hidden in the depths of the dungeon beneath the castle. I do not believe that the Master yet possesses them. If we can get them, we stand a chance of success. I don't agree with you, says the elf, who sounds just like Owl, because I only know so many voices. Wouldn't it be better to just sneak straight through? We can avoid discovery, as well as fighting, and perhaps pick up some treasure along the way. I'm more in favor of a direct approach, said the fighter. I suggest we move slowly from one area to the next, fighting when necessary. And the old man then fastens his gaze upon you. And you, little one, he asks in a soft voice, what do you think? Which of the ways would you choose? Me? You stammer. I'm just a kid. I don't know anything. Age has little to do with intelligence, replies the man. Do not take yourself so lightly. You and your friends have much to offer. What is your choice? Man, we got 4 choices, folks. We can go the old man's way and sneak it through the dungeon for magic items. We can do the elf's way, which is just sneaking around in general. We can take the fighter's method, brute force and ignorance. Just charge on through. Or we can embrace my t-shirt. Good initiative, poor judgment. There we go, poor judgment. And we can choose our own way. I really don't remember much about this book, so I'm just going to go with the first one. We're going to go with the old man's plan, and we're going to head into the dungeons. Page 108. After all, the book is Dungeons and Dragons. All right, all eyes rest on you. Since this is your kingdom, you say, and you have tried other methods before, we should go the way you suggest. Let's get on with it, says the fighter. How do we get out of here? Like this, says Pentegarn. He taps the floor with his staff, and the stone disappears. A dark hole appears in the floor. This chute will take us into the dungeon, where the cornerstones of the castle lay. The cube lies hidden beneath one of them. And the ring lies atop a pillar, rising from the second cornerstone. Too much talking, grumbles Baltac. Let's get started. And with that, he draws a sword, dangles his feet over the edge of the hole, and disappears into the darkness. A man of action, says Pentegarn, as he lowers himself into the hole and is swallowed by the gloom. Last one in is a goblin, cries Lydia, and holding her nose, she leaps in after Pentegarn. Let's go, kid.
urges Fox. Don't be a stick in the mud. You ease over the hole and peer in, but see nothing. You dangle your feet into the blackness. Fox climbs onto your lap, and Owl sits on your shoulder. Wow. A slide, a chute into darkness. And here's Baltic being all impatient. You take a deep breath and close your eyes. Cross your fingers and push off. It's like flying. You're moving so fast it feels like you're on a giant glass slide. This is fun, says Fox. Let's do it again. And then you land with a thump, dropping Fox and Owl on the floor. You look up in a daze to find yourself kneeling between friend and foe. Lydia stands behind you with her dagger raised. Pentegarn holds his staff with both hands, and Baltic has drawn his sword. 4 goblins and 2 wolves stand opposite your friends. A black cloud of bats swirls above them. Scrambling backward, you join your party and watch the enemy approach. Baltic throws you a short sword, crying, "Use this, Jamie!" And then the mighty warrior races forward, hacking and slashing at the goblins. One falls immediately, but you don't have time to watch. A wolf leaps straight at you. You step aside quickly, jabbing your sword at the furry hide as it passes. It turns and snarls, its red eyes flashing with rage. The creature creeps towards you. Deep growls rumble from its throat, and foam drips from its long white fangs. And it springs again. The great beast lands full upon you, and you fall backwards. Its shaggy black fur covers your face, and its weight pins you to the ground. A warm, salty fluid oozes over your face. It's blood! You wonder if you've been wounded, but the only pain you feel is the crushing weight of the wolf upon your chest. You slowly realize that the beast is no longer struggling. The wolf is dead. You wriggle from beneath the heavy body with great difficulty. Only then do you realize the creature landed on your sword as it leaped upon you. The battle continues all around you. Baltic has slain 3 goblins, and Lydia is locked in fierce combat with the second wolf. The bats are darting and wheeling around Pentegarn, and you can see only his staff swinging in the air. Baltic kills the last goblin and rushes to aid the elf. With 2 powerful blows, he slays the snarling wolf. Pale and shaken, Lydia sinks to the floor and says, "Thanks, I owe you one, fighter." "Anytime," Baltic says, then smiles shyly. "For you." This is awful. The fighter strides towards Pentegarn, who is still overwhelmed by bats. Baltic disappears into the tangle of flying creatures. You see his sword flash once, then a clap of thunder and puff of white smoke fills the room. When the smoke clears, Pentegarn stands unharmed, but Baltic lies motionless on the ground, surrounded by the bats. "Oh no!" cries Lydia, rushing to the fighter's side. "You've killed him, wizard!" Don't worry, Lydia." The old man says, "We can fix him up in no time if you'll help me drag him out of the way. We don't want to wake any of these bats." The 3 of you grasp his shoulders and pull the mighty fighter away from the bats. Pentegarn positions himself at the fighter's feet, then pinching his eyes shut, he mutters some strange words and points his staff at Baltic. "That should do it. That should do it." But Baltic only begins to snore, making great deep rumbling sounds. "You stupid old man!" Lydia screeches. "How could you have been a great magician? You don't even undo your own spell." "Now, dear, don't get upset," Pentegarn says. "It'll come to me in a moment." He points his staff at Baltic and commands him to rise. Everyone stares hopefully at Baltic. There is silence. Then another rumbling snore. Pentegarn frowns at his failure, then raises his staff over his head in a final magical gesture. You cover your eyes, too scared to watch, and suddenly, I feel good," says Baltic. "What's going on?" "I knew you could do it, Pentegarn," purrs Lydia.
I got so sleepy all of a sudden, Baltic continues. What happened? Did I miss anything? Never mind, Pentegarn snaps. We should be on our way. Do we first go after the ring of spell turning, or the cube of mystic forces?
Which is closest?
Asks the elf.
The ring, says the wizard. But it's also the least powerful of the two. I think we should go for the ring, says Lydia. Once we have it in our possession, it should help protect us against anything else we might meet. I myself would choose the cube, were the decision mine, says Owl. That's because you're such a square, big brain, says Fox. All right, we got another set of choices here. We can seek the ring of spell turning and turn to page 137. Or we can seek the cube of mystic forces and turn to page 50. We seem to be doing pretty well with the first choice. So let's go find that ring of spell turning, which is Turning. Page 137. Let's try for the ring, you say.
The ring lies just ahead, says Pentegarn. Let us continue.
Your small band hurries along the corridor, watching all directions for enemies. At last, Pentegarn leads you into a huge cavern, with a tall black pillar rising from a massive cornerstone. Both the cornerstone and the pillar are made of some type of polished stone, and the pillar soars upward, disappearing into the gloom above. Pentegarn turns to Lydia.
You will have to climb the pillar and retrieve the ring. My dear, you must set aside all thief-like thoughts and concentrate on the good of the party. If you cannot do so, it will bring disaster upon us all.
What are you trying to pull? Screams Lydia. When you come to the Salty Dog Inn, you wanted a low-down sneaky thief who knew the dirtiest tricks of the trade. That's who you got. You got me. What's all this goody two-shoes stuff?
Quite true, said the old man, but the ring's safeguard is purity. The person who handles it must be entirely pure and free from evil thoughts, or it will mean their death. So you see, you must perform your greatest trick of all, and pretend to be good. I'll do it on one condition, says Lydia. You must promise me you'll never tell anyone I did this. It would ruin my reputation. Don't worry. We won't breathe a word, Pentegarn says. Now climb that pillar and think good thoughts. The elf wipes her hands on her pants and scrambles up the cornerstone. This is slippery, she says. It's not gonna be easy. You gather in a tight bunch at the foot of the cornerstone, watching in suspense as Lydia inches her way up the slippery pillar. For every foot she gains, she slips back 3 or 4 inches. She climbs slowly, so very slowly, but she continues to make progress. She's almost to the top. She's going to make it! A mighty groan escapes her lips, and she slips halfway down the pillar. You hear Lydia muttering to herself as she scrambles back up the pillar. Finally, she fights her way to the top. I'm here, she yells. This ring had better be worth it. She disappears from view for several seconds. Wow, this is really nice, she yells. You didn't tell me it would be so pretty. It's covered with jewels. I wonder if it'll fit me. No, Lydia, cries Pentegarn. Don't put it on. Toss it down to me. It's too powerful for you.
You're just saying that because you don't want to share it with me. You can't imagine how beautiful it is on my finger. This big emerald is the same color as my eyes. Lydia sits down and admires the ring.
We must stop her, Pentegarn says. We must get the ring from her or she will destroy herself.
How? How? Asked Baltag. I can't climb that slick pillar. Were it not for my impaired wing, Owl says, I would fly up and pluck the object from her hand. Jamie, Pentegarn says, you are our only hope. You must climb the pillar and take the ring from her finger. It won't be an easy job, kid, says Baltag. She's an experienced fighter, and she's twice as cunning as any elf I've ever met. Says a lot about elves in this world. So here we are, the elven thief on the pillar. Can't tell if there's a ring on her finger or not. Doesn't matter. A horrified wail floats down from the pillar, and Lydia screeches. What have I done? The ring is burning my finger! It is too late, cries Pentegarn, sinking to his knees. You have failed us, Lydia. All is lost. Come down. We must flee or die. I can't. The ring is too hot. I can't use my hand. Help me. The pillar starts to tremble. You feel warmth flooding from it. If you're going to rescue her, kid, Baltag says, you got to do it now. There's no use, Pentegarn says. You would never climb the pillar in time to remove the ring from her finger. Soon the whole pillar will crash down around us. We would only be wasting more lives by asking anyone to climb the pillar. All right. So are we going to ignore the old man and climb the pillar, save the lady? Or are we going to cut and run? I think we're going to climb up to the top there and try to save Lydia's finger. All right, page 123. Oops, overshot it. It's all right. There's 125, 124, 123, and a sip. The pillar is very warm indeed. Luckily, it doesn't burn your hands, and there's dozens of cracks to dig your fingers into. You're nearly at the top when a tremendous shake loosens your grip and you slide 10 feet back down the pillar. The stone is getting hot to the touch, and you're not sure you can hold on, but you know you must try. Lydia screams from the top, Help me! The pillar is crumbling and the ring is burning. We are doomed! I'm not doomed, you say to yourself. Despite the fact that the pillar is starting to burn your hands, you give one last great effort and scramble to the top. Lydia stands on the pillar, holding her hand in the air. Tears run down her cheeks as she peers at those below.
Beef just wants to read.
You see the ring glowing brightly on her finger. It has a two-headed serpent entwined in holly leaves, with a large emerald set in the middle. Give me your hand, you say. Lydia thrusts her hand at you. It will do no good, she screams. I have tried to remove it.
Someone else must remove it,
calls Pentegarn. I lost my place.
Someone innocent, as yet untouched by the trials of the world.
You quickly pull the ring off the finger. It is so hot, you drop it as soon as you pull it from her finger. The ring falls to the ground and lands at Pentegarn's feet. Thank you, young warrior, Lydia says. You saved my life. The pillar no longer shakes, and its glow fades. Hey, Fox says, are you two staying up there all day? We're going to have company in a matter of minutes. You and Lydia scramble down the cracked pillar, and Pentegarn places the ring on his finger. It comes to life as you touch the ground. The serpent on the ring slithers through the holly leaves and clings to his finger. The serpent's small eyes shine, and its tiny mouth breathes little flames. The great stone shines with a life of its own.
I thank you for saving both Lydia and the ring, Jamie, Pentegarn says. Were I certain you had the strength to wear it, I would give you the ring in recognition of your great deed. But this is a very, very powerful and primitive thing made from the very essence of good and evil. One must not only be pure, but strong of heart and wise of mind to wear it. You can keep the darn thing, Lydia says, rubbing her hand. Now, Now we seek the cube of mystic forces, Pentegarn says. We must watch carefully for monsters, for a pillar has moved. Surely our enemy knows we are here. Even as Pentegarn speaks, you see a change occurring in him. He's no longer old and bent over. He is now a stately, middle-aged man. You gasp in wonder, and he says simply, "The ring has restored some of my power. We must seek the cube if we wish to face the evil one at full strength." "I think not," says Baltic. "He knows we're down here now. He'll send his army of foul monsters down here to capture us. I like to fight, but I also like to live to fight again. So I say we go for the evil one without the cube. Our chances aren't good, I know. But if we try for the cube, we're certain to face hundreds of horrid creatures and never find the evil one." "I agree," says Lydia. "I've always faced one test. It nearly killed me. And everybody else along with me. I don't know what this evil one is like, but he can't be any worse than the test of the pillars. I say we sneak straight through to the tower." "What do you wish to do, Jamie?" asked Pentegarn. All right, folks, our options are to go for the cube, because, magic, or hey diddle diddle, straight up the middle. Let's go for the cube. I don't know that I've ever done that. It does not ring a bell. Does not make me think of Quasimodo. "I think we should try for the cube of mystic forces, you say. We need all the help we can get." Without further comment, Pentegarn strides off down the corridor and you all follow. Surprisingly, you meet no enemies. Soon you stand in the cavern with the pillar that covers the cube. Impatient, Pentegarn strides over to the pillar and grabs its base. "What are you waiting for? Help me, Baltic." Baltic quickly scrambles to Pentegarn's side, and then the two men grunt and groan. Sweat pours from their brows, and finally the pillar rises. Lydia quickly snakes her hand underneath the pillar. "I've got it!" she cries. She pulls the cube from beneath the pillar, and without even looking at it, she lays it aside. As soon as she lays the cube on the ground, several goblins appear in the corridor at the edge of the cavern, and they do not even hesitate. They charge you and your friends. And not pausing to think, you draw your sword and leap in front of your friends, none of whom are prepared to fight. The charging goblins stop, frightened, as you brace to fight. But their eyes quickly narrow and they rush you. "Leave, little one!" a large goblin screams from the back. "Get cube! Master wants cube!" The goblins rush. Not knowing what else to do, you throw your body at the front row of goblins. As your body thuds into them, they fall to the ground. Before you can say snazzlefrass, 10 more goblins jump on the pile, not wanting to miss the fun of pinching and poking you. "Get off Morg," one says. "You hurt." The goblins curse and shout at each other, but the pile on top of you doesn't get much lighter. Many goblin hands pinch and squeeze you. "Juicy," one says. "This one good to eat." You try to struggle, but there are too many bodies on top of you. The goblins suddenly quit pinching. "Run away!" they scream, and bodies begin to pile off you. "Run away! Help, help! Light hurt!" Within seconds, you lie on the ground alone, and you shield your eyes, for the room is filled with painfully bright light. Finally, you peek from under your elbow. The light is becoming fainter. "Stand up, Jamie," Pentegarn says. You stand up and look at Pentegarn, or the man who should be Pentegarn. But instead of the stately gentleman who walked into the room, you see a man as tall as Baltic. "Pentegarn?" you ask. "Yes," he laughs. "I am restored to my full strength, thanks to your brave deed. Had you not thrown yourself at the goblin horde, they would have stolen the cube, and all would have been lost." You look about and see your friends are kneeling, their heads bowed. You do the same. Even Fox lays his head on his paws and is silent. "Arise, my friends. We must move quickly. There is still much to be done. Turning, Pentegarn races off down the corridor, and you follow in his footsteps, all the way to page 58. Oh, good. We got another picture. Hold that thought. You follow Pentegarn through the confusing tunnels. After 20 minutes of endless wandering, Pentegarn stops. You're in a dark corridor, ending in a bare dirt wall. There is a wooden trapdoor a few feet above your head. "Where are we?" you whisper. "At the foot of the tower," Pentegarn replies. "It is time to face our destiny." No sooner has he uttered the words than the trapdoor flies open. All is dark beyond. Pentegarn grasps the edge of the doorway and pulls himself into the darkness with one swift movement. You cannot let Pentegarn go alone, but even though you leap, you cannot reach the opening. "Here, Jamie, your heart is larger than you are," says Baltic. Placing two large hands about your waist, he lifts you into the gloom above. Then he boosts Lydia and Fox up, followed right behind them. You are surrounded by silence, and you cannot see anything. "Maybe no one's here," you say hopefully. "No." Hisses a deep, whispering voice. A brilliant silvery light floods the room. The light springs from a staff of great age. "Who's there?" cries Pentegarn. "Who dares hold the staff of kings, the staff of Pentegarn?" A low laugh fills the room. "Don't you know? Ha ha ha! Don't you know me, Pentegarn? We've met often enough." The light dims until it only glows softly. You now see dozens of skeletons and goblins, all armed and grinning, crowded against the far wall. The staff stands in the center of the room, glowing softly. Excuse me. A thick black cloud bellows about its base. Billows. As you watch, the cloud pulses and throbs as though alive. Then it mushrooms to enormous size, filling the room. Before your astonished eyes, the cloud turns into a large number of shrilling, chittering bats. They soar and wheel about your heads, the hot stink of their bodies filling your breath. You strike wildly at the furry creatures, but they deftly avoid your blows. Lydia screeches in fear, swinging her fists madly at the beast circling her head. Finally, after what seems like an eternity of terror, the bats disappear and a swirling black fog replaces them. Gasping for breath, Lydia falls into Baltak's arms and clutches him tightly. A terrible romance, folks. The black fog slithers and twists, growing larger and smaller. It snakes close enough to touch, then draws away. It spins like a small cyclone beside the staff and disappears. In its place stands a huge black wolf with fire-red eyes and long white fangs. The wolf whines and snarls, its belly close to the ground. Its back legs bunch beneath it, and it springs at you. You throw your arms up to protect yourself, but the wolf disappears in mid-leap, and the black fog returns. Once more, it twists and swirls, changing its shape and size with every breath. It moves back to its original spot beside the staff. Slowly, the form of a bent black figure clad in a black draping cloak emerges. The cloak covers it from head to toe. Its face is completely hidden. All you can see is a bit of swirling black fog, more terrifying than any face could be. It keeps its hands tucked inside the folds of its sleeves. "As you can see," a hollow voice hisses from the depths of the hood, "I have many faces. I am darkness. I am fear. I am your worst nightmares." It pauses, the fog inside its hood rolling slowly. Then it continues in a thundering voice. "I command you to bow to my power. Your quest is hopeless." "No," shouts Pentegarn, "not so long as I live." He raises his young staff, a mere twig compared to the staff of kings, and points it at the black figure. I better show you this picture before I forget. There it is.
Young staff, old staff. A bright shaft of lightning blasts out of the end of the staff towards the enemy, but the figure raises its hand and points its staff at Pentegarn. Pentegarn's bolt stops in midair, trembles, and retraces its passage. As the bolt strikes, it travels the length of the staff and explodes. Pentegarn's staff bursts apart and falls to the ground, shattered into a million smoking pieces. "Do not try your petty tricks on me," the voice sneers. "How dare you challenge me when I have this?" It raises the mighty staff.
"I dare because I am the rightful king,"
Pentegarn shouts back.
"And because I have this and this."
So saying, Pentegarn opens his hand to reveal the pulsating cube of mystic forces. At the same time, he raises his other hand and shows the ring. The tiny serpents twist and glide around his finger, hissing fiercely. The evil one hesitates, its smoky hands writhing around the staff slowly and thoughtfully, and finally it speaks. "It has amused me to watch you live your life in hopelessness. But now you dare challenge me? None may live who do not bow to my power." It points the staff at Pentegarn. "You no longer amuse me. Die!"
"I do not choose to die,"
Pentegarn answers calmly. He steps forward and grabs the Staff of Kings. "Back! Back!" cries the dark figure. "Do not try!" The staff glows dazzling silver, then dims to eerie red. It flashes silver once again and begins to throb. The foes, one slight and frail, the other large and black, sway to and fro in the flashing light. Suddenly, a tremendous boom echoes off the walls, and thick gray smoke fills the room. You begin coughing so hard you can barely stand. Even the goblins choke and wheeze. When the smoke clears, you rub your burning eyes and strain to see who the victor is. You see the shattered remains of the skeletons, the bewildered goblins trying to find their master, and finally you see Pentegarn standing before you. The only sign the evil one ever existed is a scorch on the floor. Pentegarn turns his ring and staff towards the goblins and says, "I, Pentegarn, son of kings and rightful heir to this kingdom, command you to leave. I give you until morning to clear yourself and your kind from my kingdom. Take nothing with you and harm none as you leave, upon pain of unending death. I command this." The goblins trip and fall over each other in their haste to escape, literally dropping through the trapdoor. Pentegarn turns his attention to you and your companions. But this is a new Pentegarn, so unlike the kind old man you grew to love. You find it difficult to meet his bold gaze. You quickly kneel, and your companions do the same.
"Come, Jamie, do not be afraid. I am still myself, and so are you. We are still friends, thanks to your loyalty and bravery. We have won. Now is a time for great rejoicing, great efforts, and new beginnings. Soon we will have a feast of celebration, and at that feast we celebrate more than the rebirth of a kingdom. We celebrate the discovery of the heir to the staff and my kingdom." You look around and wonder. "I suppose you mean me," says Fox. Pentegarn's deep laughter fills the small room. "No, Fox. Modest and brilliant though you are, I am not speaking of you. I am speaking of one who is honest and true, loyal and brave."
"Sure sounds like me," mutters Fox.
"Whose veins carry the blood of kings and queens."
There is silence as everyone looks about in wonder.
"I am speaking of you, Jamie. You are my great-grandchild, the heir to the kingdom."
"Me? I'm your great-grandchild?" you ask. "I'm your apprentice and your heir. Are you sure?"
"Yes, child, I am very sure. If you will continue to place your trust in me, I will take you as my apprentice and teach you all I know. One day the staff, the ring, and the cube will be yours, as will the kingdom. So you must learn to be wise and strong now.
If you've got so much to share, says Lydia, her hands on her hips. How about us? Yes, barks Fox, I want my share. Can we afford a muzzle? Asks Owl.
Pentegarn laughs a great booming laugh and says, Lydia, Baltic, Fox, Owl, Jamie, we will all share, and treasure is the least I have to offer. Come, my friends, gather round, we have much to discuss.
The end. Wow. Here we got a little picture here. Everybody's kneeling in front of Pentegarn. King Pentegarn. Wow. I don't know that I've ever won this book. Often I die. But that was it. That was Pillars of Pentegarn by Rose Estes. Another one of these Choose Your Own Adventure books. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'm kind of thrilled that we won. So I guess taking the first choice is the best choice. So cheers to all of you at Ben Reads. Woo!